one of your teams, now I'm thinking, okay, this is how my brain works. One of your teams could cheat with another player in that sport. Who would it be? Who's the player that you would want on your team that you want to cheat with?
Patrick Mahomes. Hands down. Give me Mahomes, man.
You think everyone's doing that?
I think everybody's doing that.
That's a good point.
90% of the people are doing Mahomes.
Over Ohtani?
Oh, my gosh. Aaron Judge, but that failed. Couldn't quite snag him.
Yeah.
The Warriors. Giannis. You want Giannis?
Bryce Harper. Giannis. That's a good one.
Giannis is a great one.
Actually, I think I texted Jasky a couple of weeks ago. I was like, I wonder what Giannis is going to be up to if Milwaukee flames out in the second round. I'm already thinking about, because Joe Lacob said this. He said this a few years ago when he joined us in studio. He said, I may not have the same 4 All-Stars on the floor, but I will have 4 All-Stars on the floor at once. Now, that's hard to do, having 4 All-Stars from one team, especially on a 12-man roster. However, if this season does flame out, you bet your ass I'm gonna start the rumor right now. I'll be watching Milwaukee tough if the Warriors flame out early or if they don't even make the playoffs. I will be rooting for Milwaukee to lose in the first round, second round, and in the conference finals.
So you're doing basically the San Francisco Giants playbook for this year.
For Aaron Judge.
We're looking ahead to free agency and praying for the demise of others.
Yep. Basically.
I'm kind of with you. I think I'd be doing the same thing.
Right. Joel Embiid and the Sixers. You don't think I hate watching the Sixers saying, come on, Embiid, flame out, man. Flame out with Doc Rivers.
You know, me and you kind of made a pact, and I did this last week, but we made a pact, like, we're going to stay within the now. We're not going to get ahead of ourselves.
No doubt.
It's hard to not think about, hey, if they don't win it all,
what's going to happen with this organization?
And, like, I ask people, like, are there layers to this? So, like, let's say you lose in the finals. If you lose in the Western Conference Finals, this happens. If you lose in the first round, this happens. If you don't qualify, this happens. To me, I don't think it matters where the train stops. I think no matter what, almost everything's on the table.
No, you know.
If you lose.
And you think about if you lose because
if you lose.
And this one's going to hurt because of the emotional attachment.
Of course.
We've grown to love Dre, Clay, and Steph for over 10 years. A decade, Chasky. A decade.
I know.
I mean, we had Brandon Belt leave after a decade. We felt like, well, he should have been gone 3 years ago, right? The emotional attachment kind of wore out.
I'm seeing people post him in a blue
They
jacket.
are.
I'm like, y'all need to, like, take a
No,
deep
but
breath.
seriously, that emotional attachment, I can't blame them. Brandon Belt was part of 2 championship rosters.
Okay.
You know, and no matter what, Brandon Belt will have a soft spot in everybody's heart. And a lot of Giants fans' heart. They already believe he's the best first baseman outside of Willie McCovey in Giants history.
Well, that's...
I mean, they're wrong.
Does
but
Will Clark exist?
You know, yeah, they're wrong. I don't even think he's better than JT Snow, but that's an argument for another day. The emotional attachment that comes with Draymond Green, first and foremost, because he has that player option.
Yeah.
And any emotional attachment that we've all had for Jordan Poole.
I know.
Especially after what happened in training camp. The changes that will happen to the Warriors if they don't make the playoffs. Gosh, we'll be talking about it for years.
Am I crazy to say, and I know people don't want to hear this, but like, I keep coming back to the same thing. Warrior fans, you can't have it both ways. So let's say they lose, right? They lose this year for whatever reason. And I hate going ahead of ourselves, but let's just do it because
we don't do this, but it's 24 games left, and they play 14 of those 24 against teams over 500, and that doesn't include the Lakers tonight.
The sand is coming out of the hourglass. Like, we can all feel it. I don't think you can have both ways. I don't think you can say, I want Clay and Steph and Dre to be Warrior lifers, and then at the same time have that be one of your feelings and say, but they have to do whatever it takes to compete for a championship. Because I think that those two statements are contradictory to each other. So what I'm saying here is this. If you believe that Steph Curry's still that dude, and I'm not trying to knock anyone else, what I'm saying is everything needs to be on the table outside of Steph Curry moving forward. And that's the way, if I was running the team, I would operate where if I know Steph's locked in for another couple years and he wants to stay here, because that's key in the NBA. You got to make sure I know he wants to stay here.
He wants to stay.
You got to make sure he wants to stay here. Then as much as I have this beloved to all these other players, I'm beholden to my fans and winning and that player. Everything needs to be on the table.
And you may have to reconstruct the roster. You may have to have a new coach. You may have to do new GM. Who knows what the hell's going to happen?
Everything is on the table.
That is wild.
And that's how I would operate.
That's how big these 24 games are, huh? It's not just making the playoffs. It's what the team's going to look like next season. And it could be the last 24 games that the big three ever play together. And, of course, Steph Curry's not going to be part of at least 4 because he's getting reevaluated next week. He's out the next 4 against the Lakers, the Rockets, the T-Wolves, and the Blazers. But we may be watching the last 24 games of Draymond Green in a Warrior uniform. And think about that, Shasky.
Very rarely do we know when someone's going out. Like Kobe, we knew the whole year, this is it. He's on his way out.
Farewell tour, gone.
Think about this one. Like Tim Duncan kind of quietly retired.
And that's the way he wanted.
Michael Jordan walked away from the game. I know he came back from the Wizards, but okay, when LeBron left, every place he's left, been kind of abrupt.
Oh, no doubt.
You might be saying, we kind of had the writing on the wall, but it's been abrupt and it left people with the rug pulled out from underneath them. Think about Kevin Durant and every place he's left, right? He's left with pulling the rug out. That's kind of how the league goes for the most part.
Right.
As opposed to it's this beautiful, harmonious thing till the end. Not really.
Nah.
Do people remember Tony Parker left San Antonio?
Yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly. The way Kawhi Leonard left San Antonio was ugly.
I mean, when Magic, I know it was a different circumstance, but when Magic called it quits, did we really know?
No, we didn't.
Did we have this huge farewell tour for Larry Bird?
We didn't. We didn't.
You know, when it's over, it
over.
happens abruptly.
Well, think about Hakeem Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing. I saw a photo recently. We all forget this. Ewing was a member of the Orlando Magic and Seattle Supersonics.
And then
Hakeem was a member of the Toronto Raptors. And it's like, wait.
It looks so weird.
It looks so weird.
So weird.
I've been watching a lot of stuff on Vernon Maxwell. He left, and it was just abrupt, right? Drexler kind of fades away.
Yeah.
Pippen fades away. I had no idea Pippen finished his career with the Chicago Bulls. Didn't even know.
Look, Monte, next year, you basically have Steph Curry, Wiggins, Poole. These are under contract, right? Poole will jump up in money.
Right.
Klay Thompson has 1 year left on his deal.
$37 million.
Wiggins drops down a little in money.
Right.
Now, you could say, I want to keep all 3 of those guys.
And Looney's back.
You have very little movement when it comes to acquiring people without moving big pieces of finances. If you lose Draymond, if he opts out and he walks away and there's not a sign and trade, you lose that slot.
Right.
Because you're already over the cap. Yep. So,
would Draymond do what Kevin Durant did? If he did opt out. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with Draymond Green. But Kevin Durant basically was like telling Brooklyn, don't help him. Brooklyn gave the Warriors a solid. They kept that slot, which became Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga in the D'Lo trade. I don't know if Draymond Green does the Warriors a solid, if that's the case, if he has money out there.
There's only 2 teams under the cap that wouldn't need a sign-and-trade type situation right now. Now,
Who's that? I don't know. Who's it, Detroit?
It's Detroit, and there's one other team, and they're only like a couple million underneath. It's not a whole lot. So, the more likely scenario, now I know the Lakers have expiring contracts. The more likely scenario is a team would try to trade something else away to get rid of some other money, and because it's all about absorbing that. It's so much
and there's
more
always a sucker, and it's always a sucker in the NBA where they're trying to get rid of an expiring contract and they'll take on somebody, or it could be worked
5
out.
Second-round draft picks to it.
Yeah, there you go. They would. Those guys not paid attention.
Not at all.
So Draymond opts out, or Draymond does not come back. It feels like everything's on the table, like you just said.
I don't think Warrior fans are prepared for Draymond. If this is the final 24 games of Draymond, if it is, I don't think Warrior fans are
prepared for that?
Me?
Yeah.
I think we've been saying for years, I would move him in this deal, or I'm done with him here, and he always reels me back
because he's been one of your best players this year.
He's one of the great Warriors of all time. If I was starting a starting 5 of all-time Warriors,
would you have him
somewhere in there? I feel like
Steph,
Rick Barry, Chris Mullin,
Wilt.
Yeah, Wilt is you're gonna have Wilt there.
You got Nate Thurman in the mix.
I know.
You got Al Attles in the mix. You got Klay Thompson in the mix. You got Draymond Green in the mix.
Your team.
You're right.
Tim
Hardaway,
all-time Warrior team.
Right, he's no doubt.
He's not a starter now.
He may be a statue guy though. Draymond Green is a statue guy.
I agree with you.
Steph, Klay, Draymond, they're statue guys. His number 23 will be in the Raptors at Chase Center one day.
Think about this. Is Draymond more legendary in a Warrior uniform than Bumgarner was in a Giants uniform?
That's a hell of a question, Shasky.
Because when I see Bumgarner in a Diamondbacks uniform, I feel a certain way, and it makes me angry. Even though I know he's not as good, nowhere near as good as when he once was, I still think he should have been a Giant lifer.
Damn, that's a hell of a question.
And because there's no salary cap, a part of me's like, damn, dude. So I know that shine is worn off.
What do you think? What do you think?
I think Warrior fans might even have more of an attachment to Draymond than even Bumgarner, which is a wild sentence.
Well, but we've been able to see Draymond Green grow, become a family guy, and he's been open with the podcast. He's always given interviews. He's always talked after games. Draymond Green has been personable. He's been a fixture in his community. He has.
Well, and
Draymond Green's done a lot of good for the Bay. Bumgarner, we really didn't see. Yeah, and we didn't see Bumgarner off the field.
That's what I'm saying.
We didn't see him off the field. We see Draymond Green all the time embracing Oakland, embracing San Francisco.
So what would cut deeper for you? Bumgarner in a Diamondbacks uniform, Draymond in a Orlando. I'm just throwing it out there. Orlando Magic jersey.
I think right away you'd be like, you know what? You get it. If Draymond Green didn't end up in, say, Charlotte. We're just throwing any team out there. Draymond Green's not wearing a Warrior uniform. It's going to look weird.
I know.
If he wins with the organization, that's where it starts to cut deep. You know why the Bumgarner thing is faded? And why he doesn't cut deep? Because Arizona sucks. Yeah. The Diamondbacks haven't done anything. So it's just like, oh, he's just in the desert. He's in the division. He's not winning anything.
But if he got traded to the Yankees and they went on to World Series, I'd root for him.
We'd be sick to our stomach.
I would root for him.
Right.
Even though I hate the Yankees.
Right. We'd be sick to our stomachs.
Yeah, I would. I mean, watching Dusty Baker win it, I felt a certain way for Dusty. And it's been how many managers removed since Dusty?
No, it did hurt with Dusty. It's going to hurt with Bochy if he does win with Texas. Draymond Green, man, that was a great question. That was. And I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for the big three because that's something that's special. Think about how many teams have had a big three, whether it's baseball, football, like the triplets with the Dallas Cowboys. Once Irvin was hurt, they were never the same.
The core four for the Yankees.
Core four for the Yankees.
The 49ers, the guys that Eric Wright, Ronnie Lott, Joe Montana, Keena Turner, that crew that went, Mike Wilson, who won 4 Super Bowls. That was, I mean, think about Joe Montana in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform.
That hurt.
Still doesn't sit right with a lot of people.
And he's still out there saying, go Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? That hurts. This one would cut deeper.
I also
feel like the big three because of 4 championships. And it has something to do with the franchise and where they were at before they arrived. The Warriors were nobodies. In this market, we wouldn't give them 5 minutes. We treat them like we treat the A's now.
Yes.
That's how we used to treat the Warriors.
Yeah. They got bumped on another radio station to a smaller station for
over and over.
In the playoffs for regular season baseball.
You go ask Matt Stuyvesant, what's the calendar flip? And we're basically 5-25. Hey, Matt, you don't need to travel with the team. The story's not going to be on D1. It's going to be on D6.
So Steiny was load managing and working from home in an era.
The newspapers were probably saving $1.
He must have loved that. I'll stay in my pajamas.
So I don't think we're ready for the big three to be over.
I don't
so that's
think
why these last 24 games, we better cherish them.
But what if
these are big time basketball games?
Steph doesn't come back?
Well, he's out, Fred. He is progressing.